What's going on, world? DS1 Ross, and I'm back. Shout out to everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Black History Month series of 2019. I appreciate all the support we've been getting thus far here on Sheep's Day Sleep TV. I appreciate y'all. If you haven't yet, check out the previous historians for this year's Black History Month series. Tonight I will be closing it out, and we have a special guest. So y'all stay tuned for that. I will be bringing the special guest on, my brother Rob. Um After I go through the dissertation. So stay tuned. I got my brother Rob coming through, family, the educator in our community. One brother who I always appreciate, and because he appreciates education, and he constantly promotes us learning our history. So I'm thankful to have a brother come on tonight. So like I said, y'all stay tuned for that. Also check out the previous Black History Month series I've done. I've done 2017 and I've done last year, 2018. So y'all go and check those out too. Um, Shout out to everybody that's tuned in so far. Do me a favor, smash that like button. Go ahead and smash that like button, family. Go ahead and share this show. Go ahead and share this show. That'd be very much appreciated also. Thank y'all for tuning in. And we're gonna get straight into the presentation. I don't want to hold y'all too long. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into the presentation on Dr. Amos Wilson. I saved him for last because I felt like it was worthy that he was last, just because of the impact that he's made. Even with even I'm gonna say the impact he's made um just in the conscious community. Because I didn't hear about Dr. Amos Wilson until I learned about the conscious community. That's when I heard about the Amos Wilsons, the John Henry Clarks, the Francis Cress Welsing. A lot of these people that you see um me doing presentations on, I have to give credit to the conscious community, because I wouldn't have knew about them. And I learned about these people through watching their material. Going to 125th and buying the DVDs. Listening to the lectures and listening to these brothers drop names of their teachers. Um, the Phil Valentines, the Bobby Hemmetts, the Eileen Bays, your Black Dots, your A.A. Rasheeds. You know, um, these are the people, you know, um, this brother here rather was one person I've heard all of them revere, Dr. Amos Wilson. They also revered Francis Cress Welsing, Neely Fuller, you know, Naeem Akbar. Um, Man, they've named so many people, you know. But Amos Wilson is one of the guys that they really, really, really revere. And when I was reading up on him, I understand why. I understand why they were so attracted to this brother. So let's get into the presentation, and we're gonna get this show on the road. Like I said, shout out to everybody in the chat. I'll come to the chat in a minute. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. I appreciate y'all. I'm reading this from the African American Literature Book Club, celebrating literary legacy since 1998. Black literature is for everyone. This is where I'm reading this article from on Amos Wilson. Dr. Amos N. Wilson was born in Hattiesburg, Mississippi on February 23rd, 1941. He completed his undergrad degree at the Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, mastered at the New School for Social Research, and attained a PhD degree from Fordham University in New York. Now, before we move on, like I said in my last when I talked about the last historian, Dr. Layla Africa. Also, when I talked about um Ida B. Wells, Fannie Lou Hamer, all of these black historians, they all went to college and graduated with PhDs and master's degrees. You know, they never told the people not to go get an education, not to be educated. Being educated is what our historians pride themselves on. They weren't ashamed to go to school. Now you got people on YouTube making black people feel ashamed to going to school, making them feel ashamed for going to get a degree. You got black people telling other black people that having a college degree doesn't work for you. When our historians pride themselves on, going to school. This is something that our historians did. They went to school. How do you think they acquired the knowledge to give to us? They went to school and they traveled and furthered their education. They went abroad and kept going to school. Man, you got people that'll tell you a degree ain't worth nothing. It depends on what you have a degree in. But stop telling these kids not to go to school. Stop telling them that. Stop telling them not to get educated, not to be educated. Stop telling them not to go to HBCUs because we created that. The HBCU history goes back into our history. Come on, man. We got to stop doing that on YouTube, man. Stop telling these young adults not to go to school. Stop telling them school won't do nothing for them. Because you can't tell them that and then turn around and say you standing on the shoulders of your ancestors. Or you go and quote a book from an author who went to goddamn school. See, you can't contradict yourself. You can't tell the youth going to school really won't pay off for you, but then you quoting guys like Amos Wilson and John Henry Clark and talk about people like Fannie Lou Hamer. You cannot tell these children that. Oh, what is it? What does a degree do for you? Ask Amos Wilson. Ask Carter G. Woodson. Ask all our black historians. What did an education do for them? Because that education helped teach your ass. That's why you on YouTube acting like you know everything. Because you read the information from these people, and these people went to school. So why would you turn around and tell other children not to go? That's a walking contradiction. We cannot tell our children not to be educated. There's a difference between being educated and having knowledge. But you must be educated in this system. You have to be trained in something because that's what an education is. The education that they give us in this system is training, but it's teaching you how this world works, how the system works. You see? Is it going to teach you how to live life, how to make it through life? No, because the school doesn't give you knowledge, it educates you. You see? But see, when you go get an education, you know what that shows and proves? That shows and proves that you're able to learn and you're willing to learn. And being ready, willing, and able will keep you on that path to getting knowledge, to gaining wisdom, and which will lead to you understanding your part you play in this life. So y'all stop getting on YouTube saying we don't need to be educated. Because if that's the case, stop quoting Francis Cress Welsing. Stop talking about white supremacy. Because you got that from a person who's educated, who went to college. So stop quoting them, okay? Because these people have PhDs and master's degrees. So if those things are not important to you, stop using their information to prove your point. Dr. Amos N. Wilson, was born in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And if y'all notice, a lot of our black historians lived where slavery and racism was heavy, was heavy. They all lived in a deep Confederate South. Hattiesburg, Mississippi, on February 23rd, 1941. He completed his undergraduate degree at the Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, which is what? A HBCU. Mastered at the New School for Social Research and attained a PhD from Fordham University in New York. Wilson worked as a psychologist, a social caseworker, supervising probation officers, and as a training administrator in the New York City Department of Juvenile Justice. As an academic, Wilson also taught at the City University of New York from 1981 to 1986 and at the College of New Rochelle from 1987 to 1995. So not only did he get degrees from HBCUs, but he also taught in in the CUNY colleges. City University of New York, that's a CUNY College. CUNY College is the local colleges in New York. And then you have your SUNY colleges. That's all your colleges in the state of New York. You got your city universities and you got your state universities. And some of your city universities, some of them are Ivy League, like Columbia University, which is in Harlem. City University is in Brooklyn. The College of New Rochelle, that's upstate. That's in New Rochelle. That's right outside of the Bronx in New York City. So as y'all can see, something else that's a similarity between a lot of our historians is they move from the South and they move up north to get those jobs. See, because back then the South was all industrial, but if you wanted to go corporate, you had to move up north. You had to move up north. Wilson believed the vast power differentials between Africans and non-Africans was the major social problem of the 21st century. So he saw that off the rip, that the social problems between, you know, blacks and other races of people was the problem. The fact that we couldn't get along and coexist without it being a problem. He saw this very quickly, which a lot of our historians have. If you've been paying attention to this series, a lot of the people, a couple of people that I picked, most of them were for social reform. A lot of them were activists. And all of them said that the major problem that they saw, and this is why they were all into social reform. Why nobody wanted to get along with us? Why did everybody have a problem with us? He believed these power differentials, see, so he knew who had power too. He believed these power differentials and not simply racist attitudes was chiefly responsible for the existence of racism and the continuing domination of people of African descent across the globe. White people exercise racism because they have the power to do so. Let me read that again. He said that white people exercise racism because they have the power to do so. Okay? So it's not just simply having a racist attitude. They have the power structure to be racist. So you cannot be racist because you don't like white folk. That's not being a racist. According to Dr. Amos Wilson, white people exercise racism because they have the power to do so. So he understood that this is a power game. It's about power. And you know what dictates power? Policy. And if you make all the laws in favor for you and people who look like you, then you can exercise racism and dominate other groups of people. Why? Because you've set up a power structure for yourself, which is the system. And you implement these laws and policies because of your racist attitude. See, that's why he said it's not simply just racist attitudes, but this is how they express their attitude. See, we got to understand that. I'm gonna read some quotes. I'm gonna read these two quotes from Dr. Amos Wilson. When we get into social amnesia, into forgetting our history, we also forget or misinterpret the history and motives of others as well as our motives. Mm. Let me read that again. Let me read that again. When we get into social amnesia, into forgetting our history, we also forget or misinterpret the history and motives of others as well as our motives. The way to learn of our creation, how we came to be, what we are, is getting to know ourselves. Gotta heal before we build. Like that. That's what you're talking about, Doc. The way to learn our own creation, how we came to be, what we are, is getting to know ourselves. Knowledge yourself. It is through getting to know the self intimately. So he's not just talking about your favorite color, you know what you like to eat, you know your favorite sneaker, you know your favorite TV show, your favorite movies. No, it is through getting to know the self intimately that we get to know the forces that shape us as a self. It is through getting to know the self intimately that we get to know the forces that shaped us as a self. Therefore, knowing the self becomes a knowledge of the world. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Therefore, knowing the self becomes a knowledge of the world. A deep study of Black history is the most profound way to learn about the psychology of Europeans and to understand the psychology that flows from their history. See, this is why, see, now I understand why Amos Wilson, all of them hung out. Francis Cress Wells, they all knew each other. And I understand. I get it. Because see, that's what people don't understand about Francis Cress Wilson and the color confrontation theory. She was speaking about white supremacy from a psychological aspect, from a mindset. A lot of y'all call the system white supremacy. No, white supremacy is the mindset that created the system. White supremacy is the psychosis of these people having a supremacist mindset. That is a mental flaw to think you're superior to someone because how you look. That is a psychosis. See, a lot of y'all think, and a lot of people on YouTube, when they describe white supremacy, they're describing white supremacy as an action. No, white supremacy is a mindset. It's a thought pattern. Like he said, learn about the psychology of Europeans. The psychology. See, if you understand the psychology, you'll understand why they do what they do. This is why he said a deep study of Black history is the most profound way to learn about the psychology. See, because our historians wanted to know why these people set up society the way they did. Why did you enslave us? Why? See, that goes back to when I was talking about current events. The most important part of your current event is why. That's why when you did current events, you had to write about a paragraph or two. You couldn't just write a sentence. And see, most people can't answer that part, the why part. Because see, if you can't understand why, then you fully don't understand. If you can't answer the why, see? So if you understand the psychology of these people, then you'll understand the psychology that comes from their history. Then you'll understand why they do what they do. If we don't know ourselves, not only are we a puzzle to ourselves, other people are also a puzzle to us as well. We assume the wrong identity and identify ourselves with our enemies. If we don't know who we are, then we are whomever somebody tell us we are. See? See, we haven't correctly identified with who we are. And they took this from The Falsification of African Consciousness, page 38. This is in one of Dr. Amos Wilson's books. One of his books, African-Centered Consciousness versus the New World Order. Garveyism in the Age of Globalism. Blueprint for Black Power, a moral, political, and economic imperative for the 21st century. The Falsification of African Consciousness. Eurocentric History, Psychiatry, and the Politics of White Supremacy. The politics. Awakening the Natural Genius of Black Children. Black on Black Violence. The Psychodynamics of Black Self-Annihilation in Service of White Denomination. Listen to the name of these books. Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. And the last one is Understanding Black Adolescent Male Violence. It's remediation and prevention. That's a book that all Black women who are mothers should have. Understanding Black adolescent male violence, its remediation and prevention. Our Black women also need to have Black on Black violence, the psychodynamics of Black self annihilation in the service of white domination. See, we need to start understanding and having the question of why answered. And see, Dr. Amos Wilson, he answered the why. Francis Cress Wilson answered the why. Claude Anderson answered the why. This is what our history denotes. They answered the why. And this is the reason for me doing this series every year. To give our people the true Black historians, the ones who set up this whole conscious ideology that you've been having running around for the past 15 years, who gave birth to the conscious community. It was guys like him who information was the foundation of the conscious community. Because all of your top scholars from the conscious community read his information. So shout out to everybody, man. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna send my brother Rob the link. I'm gonna go ahead and get my brother Rob in here. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm gonna check out the chat in a minute. I'm gonna shout some people out. Oh, you in the chat, brother Rob. I just sent you the link, bro. Shout out to the chef, JT, the grinder. Shout out to Nikki. Thanks for tuning in, Nikki. Shout out to Rising Star. Thanks for tuning in, Rising Star. Rain and Woman. Great to see you, Rain and Woman. It's always a pleasure. Shout out to Vonda Harris. Thanks for tuning in, Vonda. Shout out to my sister Eunice. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. Shout out to Soft Spoken. Thanks for tuning in, Soft Spoken. Shout out to my brother Handling Jones. Mr. Sutton. Shout out to my brother, Mr. Sutton. Appreciate you, bro. I appreciate that, Chef JT, the grinder. Thanks for the donation, bro. Shout out to the Grinch. Thanks for tuning in, Grinch. I appreciate that, homie. Who else up in here? Shout out to Monique Hill. I appreciate you tuning in, Monique. Much love. Shout out to Ty Brown. Thanks for tuning in, baby girl. Shout out to my brother Money Boy Films. Appreciate you for tuning in. All Reliable, I appreciate you. JMJ, thanks for the donation, bro. I appreciate it. Shout out to everybody. Thanks for tuning in tonight, man. If y'all haven't yet, go check out the rest of the episodes right here of the Black History Month series. Y'all go check those out, man. I did 2017 and 2018. They in the playlist section of this channel. Y'all go and check them out. I appreciate that, Grinch. Much love, bruh. Spirit of truth. I appreciate it. My brother Muhammad is the one. Thanks for tuning in, brother. I hope you feeling much better, man. And I hope you come back. Great spirits, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate that, Grinch. A little something on a swisher from the Strag. You already know.
Ah, that's stupid.
I appreciate that, bro. No doubt, no doubt. My big brother Rob, appreciate you, man. I see you here now. Appreciate you, man. You can unmute your mic, bro.
Yes, sir, man. How you feeling tonight, good brother? It seemed like you on fire, G. How you feeling?
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Look, man. I appreciate you having me on. Especially talking about the master teacher, uh, Amos Wilson. His work is more from social uh, a social point of view, the interactions between us and white people. Um, his research is kind of in line with Marumba Ani, you know. So uh, that's another person that the family would definitely want to go and check out. What they did was instead of putting us under a microscope, you know what I'm saying? They put white folks under a microscope and they wondered and conclusively proved through history and our social interactions over a long, protracted period of time um, that they were, conclusively our enemy. You know what I'm saying? Um, his research came along at a time when our people, they were saying that we were genetically disposed to violence. And so, that's why his work at that time was so groundbreaking. John Henry Clark, he always, I mean, just a quote that I got deep in my mind when I start thinking about, studying this stuff. We got to understand the political meaning, the history. And so for him to come out with a blueprint for Black Power in the midst of the mass incarceration movement in this country was revolutionary. And he did it from a scholastic and intellectual point of view. You know what I'm saying? And it was very eloquent and to the point and kind of raw. So for anybody who's not familiar with his work, man, it would be the best couple of weeks you would spend. Because he got a lot of work that people didn't put up on the net. Um, all of his lectures and things of that nature that you can check out. But Blueprint for Black Power, that's a must have. Everybody need to get that book. It is long, but why? Why is it long? Please go and listen to his explanation of why the book is so long. I think it's 900. I don't remember exactly, but I think it's 900 pages. I think that's how much it is. But anyway, the reason why it's long is because we got a complex problem. And he felt like, you know, just in case something happened to me, I know that I'm a threat to the establishment with what I'm saying. You see, he already knew that, right? And then for him to painstakingly uh, give us the solution that we need. We always sitting around talking about what's the solution? What's the solution? The master teachers then gave it to us already. If we would only, listen. So I mean, of course, you can see I'm fired up. Amos Wilson is I idolize Amos Wilson and his approach to research. Man, my fault. I'm super long winded. G.
Man, it's all good. It's all good, man. That's why I wanted to bring you on, because I know he's your favorite, man, and I just wanted you to let the people know also, how important he is, man. A lot of us look at our history as something that was, and
Mm-hmm.
we keep letting mainstream media tell us that history is something that's just of the past. We have to stop being programmed like that because too much of our children is, you know, Xing out our history just to live today when they got to understand that what you see today was created in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This is why it's important that history is very important, mainly our history and how other groups of people interacted with us. Like, like when I read that by Amos Wilson, I said, damn, that's
Mm-hmm.
powerful, man,
Yeah.
because one thing I always talk about is relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's speaking on.
Right.
How other races of people related to us and how that has affected us by us not understanding the history of that. Because now we don't know how to relate to each other because of that.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Hey, look, bro. Look, bro, I don't know if you wanna run it. I see if I'm about to run this by your NC, right? But it's
Hmm.
a it's a it's a 5 minute clip from Amos Wilson, and he's talking about consciousness, and he talks about what you just brought up, relationships, and it's something that me personally, I if I'm religious in any way, I play this constantly to keep it in my mind so that I understand who I'm dealing with when I'm at work and I'm dealing with kids that got trauma and they don't really think I'm a pussy ass dude. You know what I'm saying? They just saying that because they hurt. You know what I'm saying? And so
Hmm.
I try to make sure that I'm tempered. You know what I'm saying? When I go to work, like, man, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with the trauma with our boys, and his work helps me bring that out. So what you think, man? You think it'll be appropriate? It's like 5 minutes. We could pause it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to stop it, we can chop it up. That way, the people can kind of get him in his own words and in his own style. He got a style to the way he speak. You know what I mean?
No problem, bro. If you wanna go ahead and play the clip, you can. It's all good.
Okay, okay. Um, Let me see here. That way, free use, free. What you supposed to say? What you supposed to say? This is just for
This is
this
for educational purposes, YouTube. So fair use. This is
fair.
fair use. It's for educational purposes only. As y'all can see, this is for my Black History Month series. So fair use. Fair use.
No doubt, no doubt.
Is it playing, bro?
Oh yeah, you can't hear it.
Nah, can't hear it.
Damn it. All right, all right, all right. I'm thinking it was playing. I'm over here into it. I'm thinking it's playing. Let me see. All right, so I can see. You cannot play YouTube clips while you on YouTube. All right, I got it. Let me see.
Let
You
me
know.
see if I can play it from my phone. Is it will it pop up if I type in his name on
Yeah, yeah.
YouTube?
That's exactly what I just did. I just went and grabbed it on my phone.
It is the
Can you hear it
presence of
now?
human consciousness that brings meaning into the world.
Can you hear it?
Right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
human
Start
being
Now
start
wait,
it
wait,
over
wait,
real
wait,
quick,
wait.
bro.
Let me start it from the beginning. And you let me know if you want me to pause it in between so we can build on what he's saying or however. All right.
All right, cool.
I bet.
Consciousness. Without human consciousness, there is no world. It is the presence of human consciousness that brings meaning into the world. Without human beings in this world, conscious human beings in this world, in effect, there would not be a world. We bring the world into being through our consciousness. And through our consciousness, we create the world we live in. Out of the totality of reality, our consciousness cuts out a world that befits itself. In other words, the kind of world you exist in reflects the kind of consciousness that you have. And notice if you change your consciousness or change your values and orientation, you enter into a different world. You interact with different people. People often that you didn't even know existed in the world. Social situations that you might not have even recognized until you entered into a new level of consciousness. You see people, say, for instance, who become addicted, say, to crack or something, and now enter into a whole world and enter into a whole social system that before they became addicted, they hardly noticed. They didn't know what it was all about. And they picked up new friends and new relations, whole new ways of acting, whole new purposes in life. They lost old friends, broke with old families, all kinds of things. In other words, the consciousness, that addicted consciousness, brought into the world a new foreground and put other things into the background. Therefore, man's consciousness is a creative act. And the kind of consciousness you have will determine the kind of world you create. All right? And consequently, when you look at the world that we live in, African people, we must recognize to a great extent it is a world of our own creation. All right? It is a world that has been generated by the type of consciousness we've been permitted to be instilled in us as a people. Right? As I told you earlier today on the radio, we talk about the white man as having power. And I want you to recognize that power ultimately has to do with a relationship, right, between people. And that the white man's so-called power is to a great extent based upon the nature of the relationship he has with the black man. We empower him by the nature of our own behavior and attitudes as a people. He cannot be, as I said earlier, what he is unless we are what we are. I'm telling you.
Yes, sir.
To a good extent, the European is our creation. All right? Yes. We look at our behavior, we will see that to a good extent it is our behavior, our values, our consciousness, the kind of personalities we've established in ourselves, our tastes, our desires and needs that maintains the European in this position. All right. We talk about the civil rights movement and the apartheid system of the South. When blacks decided just to get out of the buses and walk, our system changed. Right? Yeah. When they just got sitting behind the white driver, just changing that relationship. Right. Changed the nature of power in that system. When they decided to walk side by side, when they decided to walk abreast and line themselves up, because they had not walked that way before, for the ends before the relationship changed. When they kept their monies in their pockets, right? When they sat on those stools and blocked the other people from them, and changed the nature of the interactions between themselves and Europeans, the nature of the system changed. So therefore we have tremendous power. It depends upon how we align ourselves as a people and how we decide to relate to other people in the world. Because they cannot have what they have unless we are who we are. Right? And that is why we don't have to spend a great deal of time always appealing to them and analyzing them, because we can better appeal to our own sense of self and our own consciousness. And we waste a lot of time trying to transform them, when through transforming ourselves, they will be transformed automatically.
Yes, sir. So there you go right there. When I change myself, I know that I'm going to change my students. I know I am. You know, when I change the way that I look at them, this badass, this little asshole kid, he's a jerk. When I stop looking at him like a jerk and I start figuring out, man, what is his problem exactly? What is the source of his problem? Why every time I address him in front of people, he respond that way? Maybe I should try to, you see what I mean? And doing and listening to that clip right there, it gives me uh uh you know, the ability to deal with those kids on a completely different level. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I feel like I'm effective in what I do. You know what I'm saying? And it's reflected in my kids' behavior. You know what I'm saying? It's reflected in my players' behavior. You know, that's why I'm able to send them to college. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I just feel like that clip right there, it definitely kind of captures what Amos Wilson pretty much brought to our people. You know what I'm saying? So you know, that's my take on the clip, man. What you thought, bro?
Man, that was powerful, bro. Um, I honestly now I understand um that for a long time, you know, when I first came on YouTube, um, that was something I've always talked about. And the reason why I started talking about it on my channel is because of, you know, my field study, you know, my research of just me just paying attention to my surroundings and just asking myself, what is the problem with us and why we don't get along with us? And it makes sense based off what he just said. We don't know ourselves. And when you don't know yourself, you don't know how to properly interact.
Right.
And this is what he was saying about the European. The European actually doesn't know us personally enough. He understands who we are from a historical standpoint. That's why he treat us the way he do too. That's why he created the system the way he created, to basically keep his foot on our necks. But ultimately, what the brother is saying is we got to get our act together with us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get our act together with us and we change the relationship dynamic with us, our relationship with other groups of people will automatically change.
Yes, sir.
They will begin to view us differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that, in a nutshell, is so empowering that I don't see why we don't follow that to the letter. You know, I can't remember who it was that put it in the chat. Stay on code. Why not? That is what's going to empower us the most, you know. But our ambivalence, you know, our aloofness. That's what's holding us back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? And Creole they call it come see come sa. You know what I'm saying? You know, it don't affect you one way or another. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people don't even care about this ADOS argument. They ain't ever heard about it. You know. Oh, Stephon Clark, the officer they got off, man, sound like white folks get off all the time. They don't, and then they just keep on going about their business. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's your channel is so aptly titled "Sheep Just Stay Sleep." You know, because we gonna keep working over here. You know what I'm saying? Man, it is, man, the title of your channel is just so appropriate for this time. You know what I'm saying? Where we at, you know? And I mean, it's still hope for the sheep. You know what I'm saying? It's still hope for them. But, you know, we ain't going to wake them up, you know?
Right, right. We not going to waste time with people who feel comfortable in their predicament,
Yes, sir.
pretty much. And what I what one thing that I love, what I've grown to love about Amos Wilson is, and this is something I feel like um the conscious community got away from: self accountability. Because he's saying that it's our job to change how we relate. The system is not going to change until we change. He's putting the ball in our court. So guess what? Don't keep thinking you're going to get away with blaming other people. Is what he's ultimately saying. The ball is in our court. We're being treated the way we're being treated because we're allowing it.
Yes.
And you know how we allow it? By how other people see we interact with each other. And think about this. It's almost like you growing up in a neighborhood and you outside every day and you know a certain dude is a punk. He not gonna fight back. So you might have the punkest dude in your crew bullying him because he know he not gonna fight back. So it's like all the rest of my homeboys see you as a punk. So I might as well see you as a punk too. I might as well bully you too. And that's almost how we are nowadays. They seeing how the European treat us, so now the Asian treat us the same way. The Arab treat us the same way. And it's because we're not willing to change that image. We're not willing to do it. We think we think it's the people who's saying that this is how we are. We think it's their job to change our image, and it's not. It's not. It is not their job. It's not their job. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I was just building on the point, right? You know, a lot of people say, you know, Trump, he the president. I mean, hey, that ain't nothing changed for me since he been president. Well, you know, financially that might be true, right? But from the top down, that's pretty much how things go in this country. I mean, you have to agree, yes? From the top down, wouldn't you say that's true? Man,
Yep. Yeah.
so think about all of the people that are currently in Congress, right? That decided for 2 years sitting on this information. Think about all of the people that backed that shit up. Think about all of the people that voted for this cocksucker. Think about it for a second, right? That was a power play. It was a referendum on Barack Obama's presidency, white folks basically said, hey, we're going to get the most racist, I'm going to look out for white people, and it's going to be so obvious candidate in the running and show everybody in the world, hey, we still run shit over here. You see?
Right.
And a lot of those people are still there, and they picked up 6 seats in the Senate. Well, Brother Rob, why is this fucking important, right? The Senate is the body of Congress that chop up the money. They chop up the money. I mean, Democrats got the House. What is the House for? They present the bills. The Senate is the one that fund the bills. And the president is the one that enforce the bills. One more time, brother. We got to understand the political meaning of history. This is the most important thing in that little 5-minute clip that man said, in my opinion, right? Dr. Amos Wilson, an ancestor now. They cannot be who they are unless we are who we are. Essentially, ultimately, they are a creation of what we are not doing. We all we got to do is just believe in one another, start moving as a group, start moving as a unit, start moving as a tribe. You know, it's a book written by a Jewish guy. His name is Joel Kotlin, right? And the name of the book is called Tribes. He talk about how these ethnic groups move as tribes all across the globe. You know what ethnic group wasn't mentioned in the book? You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to. Man, we all know. But hey, what it is a clear examination on the mentality of the people that we are up against. And once we start looking at it like we in a war, man, we gon' you know what I'm saying? We gonna understand it and move accordingly, just like the brother said. You know what I'm saying? So, rest in peace to the ancestor and the most powerful master teacher. I feel like out of the top 10. You know what I'm saying? One of the greatest intellects of the 21st century. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Amos Wilson. You know what I'm saying? The brother blueprint for Black Power. Man, look, man, it's a must-have. Be the best 50 bucks you ever spend in your life. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could remember them. I got some websites where you can get the books for cheaper. You know what I'm saying? I give it to my students as they go into college. I found the website for them so that they can get their books a little cheaper, keep a little money in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? With their little book vouchers and stuff like that. But man, next time I'm on, I definitely have the website. But books, I feel like, man, we gotta read, man. People always want to argue and shit. Now they ain't read shit. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, damn, man, you just don't understand what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? My fault, G. Go ahead.
Man, I totally agree because that mentality is is what's keeping us down. You know, that type of mentality, and the more we continue to show that, the more other groups of people are going to continue to have the image that they have about us, and they're going to continue to interact with us in that way. You know, so if you wonder why um the Asian men think they can easily just put their hands on Black women when they go in a store, because they watch and they examine how Black women act when they go get that goddamn hair. There's a behavior that come with that hair, and they pay attention to that, and then they see how the men act, and then they make their move from there. See, we gotta understand, and shout out to Kevin Samuels, because he's an image consultant, and that's one thing that that's his message. That's what his platform is about. Our image. And it's not just about wearing a suit or wearing a proper outfit, but what you wear, how you speak, all that encompasses your image. And when people see you and they look at you and they hear you and they smell you, they make a judgment on who you are. So if we just arguing out of sheer ignorance and then wonder why other groups of people call us idiots, I mean, do you wonder why? Because we're arguing. We're arguing. We're not having a discussion. We're not having a debate. It's an argument. It's senseless. And the more they see black people take part in foolishness, they're going to continue to look at us the way they do. Period. And you gotta understand, you gotta stop that individualism, that individualistic shit. Stop. Oh, that ain't me. But I don't think like that. Of course, you don't think like that. But remember, you're a part of the whole. See, we got to start understanding that this is how other groups of people in the world who are thriving, this is their mindset. This is why you don't see Arabs doing certain shit. And the ones you see doing certain stuff, oh, trust and believe, a lot of them is excommunicated from their families. You see? Because they understand how important image is when it comes to relationships. And that's all business and politics and government is all about. Relationships. It's about who you know. Who you know. Who you know grants you power. Your network. This is why they say your network determines your net worth. Relationships. This is why I talk about healing the relationship of black people. We need to heal our relationships so we can properly rebuild them in order for us to have our share in politics. Wow. What do we need to be grooming politicians for when we can't get along on a live stream? We can't get along on a live stream, but we talking about politics. We talking about having a seat at the table. You can't get along. You can't get along at the Thanksgiving table with your cousin. You know,
The,
y'all
the
been
truth,
y'all been arguing about the same shit for the past 5 years. Every Thanksgiving y'all see each other, y'all arguing about the same shit. But
the,
then wonder why we're not politically sound anymore. Our ancestors were politically sound because they understood the power of unity. If politics is a numbers game, then what is the problem with us understanding how important unity is? Why do you still have people trying to be rugged individuals? But then they turn around and complain about the system. You shouldn't be complaining. You see, so a lot of these conversations, man, be contradictory. A lot of these people, man. And this is why it's important we understand our history. Because we need to use history as a reference of empowerment. Because this is the reason for me doing this on my channel. It's to empower us. It's for you to pass this along to empower a young man or a young woman who never heard of a Amos Wilson, who never heard of a Carter G. Woodson, who never heard of a Thomas L. Jennings. I didn't even know we created the dry cleaning process. Who runs the dry cleaning industry now? The Asians. We created that. I didn't know that. We created that. See, I do this as a form of empowerment for our people to encourage us. So that young boy or that young girl who feel like she's nothing, she can understand what type of stock she come from. If you want to stand on the front line and fight for social reform, black woman, there's plenty of black women you could look at. You got Fannie Lou Hamer. You got Ida B. Wells. Fannie Lou Hamer and them was so serious, them white folks beat her and her homegirls up in a restaurant. Just ran down on them and beat them up like they were men because they were so serious with their social reform. And because they were educated. See, our people wasn't just no dumb Negroes, just spouting off at their mouth, talking about how they feel. No, they was talking about what they knew, what was facts. They were educated. Okay? They went to Ivy League schools. Okay? So let's not encourage our youth not to go to the next level, education-wise. Don't tell them that. Don't tell them a degree won't help them. Don't tell them that. Because a degree helped Amos Wilson. See? So, anything else you want to say, bro, about your favorite black historian, man?
Man, please go and check out his work. His lectures, I feel like they definitely add to the current discussions that we having on YouTube about ADOS. Um, but his books and his works, I definitely feel like um, they definitely need to be looked at deeper. Dr. Amos Wilson is an overlooked intellect, and I feel like the solutions he's already prescribed for us will definitely help us, and they still appropriate to this day. All right, so that's it. All right, thank y'all for listening. Thanks for having me, D.
No doubt, big bro. I appreciate you. And I totally agree, man. I totally agree. I'ma definitely um go book shopping, man. I'm about to go book shopping, you know. Because I need a lot of these books in my library. You know, I got two sons. They need to understand this stuff, you know. No matter how no matter how far you may go within the system, you still need to understand what you're dealing with and who you dealing with and who you represent to them. You know, we always got to understand that. We can't get caught up, you know, like Nicole Ali put in the chat. Shout out to Nicole. Thanks for tuning in. Feelings. Right. A lot of us is caught up in that. We're more focused on that, man. That's how they're keeping their foots on our necks too. They're keeping their feet on our neck by keeping us wrapped up in our feelings. You know, when we have a blueprint, you know, for black power. And we've had it. And I've never heard nobody on YouTube actually go into that book and dissect the plan. Maybe that's something I need to do. Actually go read the book and go into it and let us discuss it and how we feel about it and what we think, what we think he's saying, and you know, try to gather understanding. That's something I'm gonna do. That's something I'm gonna do. In the future, I'm gonna do that because I don't understand why it's not being done. Why nobody's breaking down um Claude Anderson's financial freedom plan for black folk? Why I just don't see it.
Yeah, you know what? I like that, man. Like we could just start doing like fake book reviews or something. You know what I'm talking about? Like we could just, I just pull out some of the stuff on my shelf and show them, what I got. You know what I mean? And this is how I help. This is what helped me get to, a certain level of understanding in our political position, our social position. You know what I'm saying? What you think? Like fake little book reviews.
I'm with it. I'm
Uh,
with it. I'm with it.
uh,
Um, but I like I said, I definitely gonna be purchasing these books and I'm gonna start reading them too before we actually what we could do is we could go chapter by chapter. That's how we could do it. We'll make every stream a chapter. We could have a panel and everything. Um yeah, y'all stay tuned for that because I definitely want to do that, man, because we need this. We need to actually sit down and actually discuss the information in its entirety. Actually go through the book. Let's do it. Whoever's down with it, I'll do a stream later and see who's actually down with it. Oh, oh, y'all did, Nicole? Well, I know that's one reason why I listen to BGS because he gives comprehensive breakdowns and he puts the puzzle together. He puts the puzzle together. Um, Shout out to Hills In. He said, "What's the list of the book's names again?" For Amos Wilson, he has um African Centered Consciousness versus the New World Order, Blueprint for Black Power, a moral, political, and economic imperative for the 21st century, the falsification of African consciousness, Eurocentric history, psychiatry, and the politics of white supremacy, awakening, awakening the natural genius of black children, black on black violence, the psychodynamics of black self-annihilation in service of white domination. So just God, man, he giving it up on the name. Like just the title of that book, he's letting you know they've set it up to where we destroy ourselves now. The psychodynamics of black self-annihilation in service of white domination. He giving it up, man. The developmental psychology of the black child. And the last one that I see here, and I think he may have more books, there's only 7 here. Understanding black adolescent male violence, its remediation and prevention. Those are his 7 books. Indeed, Nicole. Indeed. No doubt. No doubt. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Um, y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna do a stream and we're gonna talk about this these book reviews that me and brother Rob, we're gonna conduct. Actually, we'll chop it up in our group chat, brother Rob, and we'll organize everything there. That's cool.
For sure.
No doubt, no doubt. So thanks for tuning in, fam. I appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. Much love to everybody. Thanks to all y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all check out the other 9 Black historians that I did. Tonight is the wrap up of the Black History Month series for 2019. Make sure y'all go check out the other 9. I will be creating a playlist, so just look out for the playlist for 2019. Also check out 2018 and 2017 also. Um Thanks to all the people who donated tonight. I appreciate everybody for donating. I appreciate everybody for coming in, showing some support for me and my platform. And I catch y'all on the next one, man. I will be y'all stay tuned for my last installment on the relationship series. The relationship series. Um y'all stay tuned for that. Also tune into my car rants. I'm definitely gonna keep them going too. So like I said, I appreciate all the love and the support. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Shout out to my brother Rob, my special guest tonight. Shout out to you, bro. And any last words before we close out?
Oh, my fault. I couldn't get to the mute button fast enough. But yeah, just thanks for having me, man. I deeply respect uh, the brother Dr. Amos Wilson's work, and I just suggest it to the family that you go and check this brother out. All right, later.
No doubt. Shout out to everybody once again. This is DS1 Ross representing Sheep Stay Sleep TV. And remember, y'all, we gotta heal before we build. We gotta heal before we build, y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.